So on this anniversary of September 11th, I know everybody has all sorts of stories and stuff, but one of the cool things that happened for me just a week or so before was a friend of mine in New York had just gotten a new speedboat and had invited me and my girlfriends. We were doing that reality show that summer, the 2001, and the Barracudas. He invited three of us out on his boat. Kathleen couldn't make it, but what I'm getting at is that we were out in New York Harbor. It was a beautiful day, and he stopped the boat, and the Statue of Liberty was in the background. And my friends Sandra and Kathy and I were up on the back pad of the boat, and he was taking pictures of us with the Statue of Liberty in the background, which was cool. But for some reason, I was like, can you point the boat that way? I really want to get the World Trade Centers in like Lower Manhattan in the background. I really love New York, right? And he did. He totally humored me. He angled the boat that way. And I have a picture of me sitting on the pad of his boat in my bikini a week before September 11th. And I'm just sharing this story. I know, like, please, I do know people that were lost that day, and I know there were bigger things that happened that day, but I have that picture in my apartment, and it just means a lot to me because I don't know why I had that instinct to say, I want that picture of me in front of the World Trade Centers. And wow, like a week later, they were gone. And all those people, right? And speaking of that, Kathleen, the guy that she was cutting his hair in the show, was one of the people that we lost in the tower. So yeah, the cool stuff about it was a beautiful day. And I was walking through Central Park like 2 days later, and F-16s were flying overhead, Central Park. And honestly, it made me feel safe. I really, and walking around the city, New Yorkers kind of do whatever they want. And I was walking through Times Square, and I had stepped off the curb, and the cop went, "Ma'am, could you stand back on the curb?" And like, we all just kind of went, okay, and stood on the curb. And everybody was willing to just do whatever we needed to do, which was an interesting thing. Just another interesting story with the same boat. When they opened up the Hudson River, like maybe a week after, I happened to run into that guy's name was Paul, out, and he said, "Hey, they're opening the river tomorrow. I'm going to take the boat out. Do you want to come?" And I said, "Yeah." So me and my friend Kathy went down and met him at Chelsea Piers, and they had a food line that they were, putting boxes out onto a boat to take it down to the first responders. So we jumped in and we helped, and it was cool. But the interesting thing was, as we got out on the river, a like PT boat flying an American flag, but with a fully mounted machine gun on the front, came and pulled us over and asked us our names and where we were going and what we were up to. And we said, we just wanted to take a look around. So they said, okay, we'll stay on the New Jersey side, and the river will close at 4 o'clock. If you're still on the river, we will arrest you past 4 o'clock. Which I thought was really interesting. And then we took the boat down there, and that structure that is just so famous that was still standing of the towers was like 30 stories or so high. That was so much taller than it appeared on TV, which really struck me. And it was still smoking. I mean, it had to have been fully a week later. I think it was exactly the next Tuesday. It was a Tuesday. So, and in light of everything that's going on in the country right now, there was an amazing commercial that really stuck in my head at the time that said, the terrorists thought they could change us. And they showed a street, like a row homes. And then it slowly dissolved to every single one of those houses flying an American flag. And it said, they did. And I thought that was really cool. So I'm just making this tape, I guess, because yeah, it's always sad to me on this anniversary, but I'm also sad that the camaraderie that this country had after that day and for several years after. And now it seems like there's so many people that are at odds with each other and tearing each other apart. And that's really sad to see. Thanks for listening or watching. I know there was lots of terrible stories that happened. I just thought I'd share something that was a little bit more interesting from a different perspective. And Yeah, maybe it's just a good opportunity to remind people that we're all on the same side. We're all Americans.